The small shuttle floated silently above the darkened expanse of space, its lights dimmed so it would not be noticed. Inside, 3 children huddled together, their eyes wide with fear and determination. Kara, the eldest at 10, held tightly to the hands of her twin brothers, Jax and Milo, who were both 7. They had traveled far from the ruined colony, through debris fields and asteroid belts, following the faint emergency beacon of their mother's ship. "Our mama's still on the ship," Kara whispered, her voice barely audible. The twins nodded, too afraid to speak, but their faces mirrored her resolve. They had seen the aftermath of the attack, smoke rising from the wrecked hull, panels torn off, and signs of battle scattered across the deck. Most of the freighter's crew had been killed or evacuated, but the beacon showed that life signs remained in the lower decks. Their mother, Captain Elaine, was alive. The freighter was massive, a sprawling tangle of metal corridors and maintenance shafts. It had once carried goods across the galaxy, but after the raid it was a dangerous labyrinth. Automated security systems still patrolled, though their programming had gone rogue after the attack. The children had learned quickly they could not simply walk aboard. One misstep and the patrols, or worse, the guard drone, would detect them. The guard drone was not like any ordinary security machine. It moved on 4 metallic legs tall enough to tower over the children, with sensors that glowed red in the dark. Its design was meant to intimidate intruders, and it had learned to track movement with frightening precision. Kara had seen its patrol patterns in the schematics Milo had scavenged, but even then she knew sheer luck would not be enough to get past it. Milo, ever the thinker, pulled out a small device he had hidden in his backpack. "It can jam sensors for a few seconds," he whispered, showing the compact square with blinking lights. "It's risky, but we can use it if the drone notices us." Kara nodded, trusting her brother's quick thinking, and Jack squeezed his hands nervously. The children approached the airlock hatch at the rear of the shuttle. Kara glanced at the viewport. The freighter lay below, dark and silent except for the faint blinking of life support pods. Her mother's life sign was visible on the console in front of them. The beacon pulsed steadily, a reminder that time was precious. The longer they waited, the more likely the freighter's systems could fail completely. "Okay," Kara said, her voice firm despite the tremor in her throat. "We stick together. Move slow, stay quiet. We'll get Mama." The airlock hissed open and they stepped onto the freighter's surface. Metal groaned under their small feet, a sound that made their hearts leap. Above them, the dark expanse of space seemed endless, and below, the hull of the freighter stretched like a twisted metal maze. Kara led the way, keeping to the shadows while Milo held the small sensor jammer in his pocket ready to use it. Jack stayed close, eyes darting from shadow to shadow, alert to every sound. As they moved through a maintenance corridor, the hum of the ship's machinery echoed around them. Pipes rattled, lights flickered, and the faint hiss of pressurized systems made the air feel heavy. Kara signaled for the twins to stop. Ahead, they could see the faint glow of the guard drone's sensors sweeping the hall. Its red light scanned methodically, moving back and forth, sweeping the corridor like a predator searching for prey. "Now," Milo whispered, pressing the small device in his hand. A soft pulse of electromagnetic energy shot out, momentarily scrambling the drone's sensors. The red glow faltered, and the machine's head jerked to one side, confused. The children held their breath as the drone emitted a low mechanical growl and spun in a tight circle. "Go! Go!" Kara hissed, and the 3 children darted forward, pressing themselves against the wall, moving as quickly as their small bodies allowed. Sparks flew from a nearby exposed panel, giving them just enough cover. The drone adjusted, trying to track them, but the pulse had bought them precious seconds. They reached a maintenance hatch that led to a narrow shaft descending toward the lower decks. Milo went first, slipping inside with careful precision. Kara followed, then Jax, crawling as quietly as possible. The shaft was tight and the walls pressed close, making every movement a challenge. But the children did not falter. Every inch brought them closer to their mother. As they descended, the muffled sound of a voice reached them. Kara froze, straining to listen. It was faint but unmistakable, her mother calling their names. "Kara, Jax, Milo." The children's hearts leapt. They were on the right path. Relief mixed with fear. The drone's sensors might still detect them, and the freighter's hull could collapse at any moment. Finally, the shaft ended in a small hatch leading directly to the lower deck. Kara peeked through the small viewport and saw a corridor bathed in dim red light. The guard drone patrolled this area frequently. It stood motionless now, but it was only waiting for a sign of movement. Kara signaled to the twins to stay calm. They needed a plan. "We need to distract it again," Milo whispered. "But this time we have to be smart. If we fail, we'll never reach Mama," Kara thought quickly. "We'll use the crate over there," she said, pointing to a stack of cargo containers. "If we push one, it will roll and make a noise far enough away to draw the drone's attention. Then we move while it investigates." The plan was simple but dangerous. Milo nudged a crate, letting it slide across the floor. It clattered loudly, echoing through the corridor. The drone's sensors flickered. Then the red glow swiveled toward the sound. The mechanical growl returned, louder this time as the machine moved toward the noise. "Go, go," Kara whispered urgently. The children slipped out of the hatch, pressing against the wall, moving silently past the confused drone. Their hearts pounded as they made it to a service elevator. Kara activated the panel, praying it still worked. The elevator descended slowly, its worn cables creaking. Every second felt like an hour. At last, the elevator doors opened onto the lower deck. The room was small, filled with machinery and storage containers. And there, in a reinforced life pod, was their mother. Captain Elaine looked pale but alive, her eyes wide as she saw the children. You came for me," she said, her voice cracking with emotion. Kara ran forward, throwing her arms around her mother, followed by the twins. For a brief moment, the danger seemed to disappear. The children clung to their mother, and she held them tightly. But outside the pod, the guard drone's sensors had recovered from the distraction. It had detected the movement in the shaft and was heading toward the lower deck. Elaine's eyes snapped open, full of determination. "We need to move," she said firmly. "There's no time to waste. The drone won't give up." She led the children toward a maintenance hatch that connected to an old escape tunnel. The tunnel was narrow, filled with twists and turns, and poorly lit. But it offered a chance to escape. As they moved, Kara noticed the walls were covered with scorch marks and dents, evidence of the previous raid. The freighter's AI was partially damaged, and electrical sparks flew from exposed wiring. Milo pressed his hand against a control panel, rerouting power to the lights, making the tunnel slightly safer to navigate. The drone's metallic growl echoed from above. It was relentless, calculating, and fast. But the children, led by their mother, pressed on, crawling, climbing, and squeezing through every narrow passage. Each moment was tense, each step a test of courage. Finally, they reached a ventilation shaft that led to a cargo bay. Elaine opened a panel and guided the children inside. The cargo bay was empty, save for old containers and floating debris. They were momentarily safe, but the drone was close, its sensors scanning every corner. Elaine pressed a small emergency override on her wrist device, sending the drone into standby mode for a few precious minutes. "Quick," she said. "This will only last a short time. We move now." The children followed her through the cargo bay, hearts racing. Outside the bay, the rescue shuttle was waiting, its engines humming quietly. Kara looked back at the freighter, knowing that the danger was still there, but they had survived the hardest part. As they boarded the shuttle, Elaine hugged them again, tears in her eyes. "You were brave," she said, her voice firm but full of emotion. Humans have courage that even the most advanced machines cannot predict. The shuttle lifted off, leaving the freighter behind. Kara, Milo, and Jax watched through the viewport as the ship receded into the distance. Sparks still flew from the hull, and the guard drone's silhouette was visible for a moment before it vanished into the darkness. The children had faced fear, danger in machines designed to stop life itself, and had survived. Kara whispered to her mother, "We'll always find a way, no matter what." Elaine nodded, knowing that the resilience of her children and humanity was stronger than any threat in the galaxy. The shuttle sped into the void, carrying them toward safety, hope, and the promise that no machine could ever take away human courage. The shuttle moved steadily through the void, carrying Kara, Jax, Milo, and their mother, Captain Elaine, away from the wrecked freighter. Inside, the air was tense but filled with relief. For the first time since the attack, the children felt a measure of safety. Their mother checked the controls, her hands steady despite exhaustion, while the twins pressed close to her, still trembling from the encounter with the guard drone. Kara sat slightly apart, staring out the viewport at the dark emptiness, thinking about what they had just survived. "It's not over yet," Elaine said quietly, as if reading her daughter's thoughts. "The freighter may be damaged, but the raiders won't give up that easily. They might try to track us. The children's faces tightened with fear, but Kara nodded. She had already learned that survival required courage and quick thinking, just as they had faced the drone. Milo, always the thinker, tapped on the console, analyzing the freighter's trajectory and the shuttle's path. If we follow this course, we can put distance between us and the wreckage before they even know where we are, he said. Elaine looked at her son and smiled faintly. Smart thinking. Humans have a way of solving problems that even advanced machines can't always predict. The shuttle's engines hummed softly as they moved further into the void. Kara's mind replayed the moments inside the freighter. The narrow shafts, the rolling crate, the growling drone, and finally the joy of finding their mother alive. But she knew that leaving the freighter didn't mean the danger was over. Space was full of threats and they were far from help. Suddenly the console beeped sharply. Elaine's brow furrowed. Sensors detect another ship on an intercept course, she said, her voice calm but alert. The children's eyes widened. The freighter's attackers had found them. Milo leaned over the console. They're moving fast, but we can still avoid them if we take the asteroid belt nearby. They'll have to slow down and we can use it as cover. Elaine nodded. Good thinking, strap in. It will be a rough ride. The shuttle veered toward the asteroid belt, weaving between massive rocks and spinning debris. The children gripped their seats tightly as the shuttle shuddered from minor collisions with small debris. The pursuing ship slowed, attempting to navigate the obstacles, while Elaine expertly piloted the shuttle through narrow gaps, using her knowledge of the craft and quick reflexes to stay ahead. As they moved deeper into the belt, Kara noticed something strange on the scanners, faint signals coming from a nearby derelict station. She pointed at the display. Mom, look! Could we hide there? Elaine's eyes narrowed. It's risky, but it might work. The station is abandoned, but still has enough power to shield us from sensors temporarily. She adjusted the controls, setting a course for the station. The shuttle approached the station slowly. The massive structure loomed like a shadow in the asteroid field, its hull scarred and dark. Docking bays were damaged, and parts of the station's outer shell floated free into space. Kara, Jax, and Milo held their breath as the shuttle entered the docking corridor, the engines flaring briefly to maintain stability. Inside the station, the shuttle's lights illuminated the abandoned interior. Panels hung loosely from walls, and small fires had long since died out. Elaine guided the children to a small chamber near the center of the station. We'll rest here for a moment, she said. We need to plan our next move. The children collapsed onto the floor, exhausted but relieved. Kara looked at her mother and spoke softly. We did it. We found you. We're safe, for now. Elaine knelt beside her children, brushing hair from their faces. We're not just safe because we escaped, she said gently. We're safe because we stayed together, stayed calm, and used our brains. That's what makes humans strong. Hours passed as they rested, though sleep was fleeting. Every sound echoed strangely through the hollow station, making the children jump at the slightest creak or hum. Outside, the pursuing ship circled the asteroid belt, searching for their shuttle. Elaine studied the sensors carefully, noting their patrol patterns. They're persistent, she said. They won't give up. But persistence alone isn't enough. Humans are unpredictable, and that is our advantage. Milo looked up from the console. We can use the station's old communication arrays to send a false signal. Make it seem like our shuttle went in a different direction. They'll waste time following a decoy. Elaine nodded approvingly. Exactly. Prepare the arrays. We'll make them think we're gone. As Milo worked, Kara and Jax helped their mother scan the station for any remaining hazards. They found emergency supplies and activated life support in one of the chambers. The station, though damaged, offered more than just cover. It had resources that could sustain them if the pursuit dragged on. After several tense minutes, Milo activated the communication arrays. The false signal beamed out into space, mimicking their shuttle's energy signature as it moved away from the station. Elaine monitored the scanners, watching the pursuing ship's reaction. As expected, the ship altered its course following the decoy. The children let out silent cheers, though they remained cautious. It worked, Jax whispered, a grin spreading across his face. Elaine smiled at her children. Clever thinking. Humans can outsmart much stronger forces if they stay sharp. Remember this feeling. You've all shown courage beyond your years. The next hours were spent moving deeper into the station, finding areas to rest and rationing supplies. Kara, despite her exhaustion, felt a growing sense of pride. They had faced a deadly machine and a dangerous journey through space and survived. Every challenge had shown her that humanity's strength wasn't just in technology or size, but in intelligence, courage, and cooperation. Night came, or what passed for night, in the station's dim corridors. The children huddled close to their mother, listening to the distant hum of the abandoned machinery. Elaine told them stories of her missions, of humans facing impossible odds and surviving. Kara realized that every tale had a lesson. Humans adapted, humans endured, and humans persevered. Suddenly, a faint vibration ran through the station. Elaine stiffened, reaching for the scanner. "Someone or something is aboard," she whispered. Kara's heart raced. Could the raiders have followed them into the station? The scanner revealed nothing obvious. The vibration was irregular, moving through the walls rather than the corridors. Elaine frowned, analyzing the readings. "It's not the ship. It's something inside the station itself. We need to investigate carefully." Kara, Jax, and Milo followed their mother through narrow maintenance corridors, their hands brushing against the cold, worn metal walls. The vibrations grew stronger as they approached a control hub. Elaine motioned for silence, listening carefully. Then, a soft metallic click echoed in the chamber. From the shadows, a small service drone emerged, covered in dust and corrosion. Its sensors glowed faintly, but it made no aggressive moves. Kara breathed a sigh of relief. "Just a broken drone," she whispered. Elaine nodded, though her eyes remained alert. "Even here you must be cautious. Danger can hide in unexpected forms." She guided the children back to a safe chamber and secured the doors, making sure no unauthorized access was possible. The night passed without incident, but the next day brought another challenge. The children had noticed that the station's gravity systems were unstable. Some sections had low gravity, while others were heavier than normal. Milo suggested using the low-gravity areas to move quickly, but it required careful coordination. Kara led the children through practice runs, learning how to jump and maneuver in the shifting gravity fields. Their movements became precise, almost instinctive. Later, as they prepared to leave the station, Elaine addressed the children seriously. "We've survived the freighter, outsmarted the drone, and evaded pursuit. But our journey isn't over. We need to reach the nearest human colony for safety." The children nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. Milo plotted the course using old star charts and the station's damaged navigation systems. Kara and Jax assisted, watching for any obstacles. The shuttle was ready, fueled and patched as best as possible. As they lifted off from the station, Elaine looked at her children. "You've all shown that humans have qualities no machine, no alien, and no danger can fully control. Courage, creativity, and determination, those are our strengths." Kara felt a swell of pride. She had seen it firsthand. Against impossible odds, humans could survive, adapt, and prevail. The void of space was vast and dangerous, but together, they were stronger than any threat. As the shuttle sped toward the distant stars, the wrecked freighter disappeared behind them, and the pursuing ship faded into the distance, fooled by their decoy. The children and their mother looked ahead, knowing that their journey was far from over, but for now, they were alive, together, and victorious. Kara whispered softly, her voice full of resolve. "No matter what happens, we'll always find a way. We are human and we never give up." Elaine smiled, holding her children close. The void outside the shuttle was endless, but the human spirit within them was limitless. They had faced machines, danger, and fear, and had triumphed. In the vastness of space, humans proved once again that courage, ingenuity, and unity could overcome any obstacle. The shuttle sailed on,
carrying the children and their mother toward safety,
toward hope, and toward a future shaped by human strength. Every star they passed was a reminder that humanity could survive.